This is the story of a mother who lost her baby. Or at least that's what they told her. March 15th, 2002. Grady Memorial Hospital, Atlanta, Georgia. Sarah Bennett had just given birth to a healthy baby girl. She heard her first cry, saw her tiny face for 1 second, felt her heart fill with love. Then a nurse approached. "I need to take her for routine tests. Just a few minutes." Sarah nodded. She trusted her. The nurse walked out with the baby, never came back. 2 hours later, a doctor entered. His eyes were down. "Mrs. Bennett, I'm sorry to inform you that your baby has passed away." Sarah screamed, cried, begged to see her daughter. "It's better if you don't see her like this," they said. They never showed her the body, never gave clear explanations, never let her say goodbye. For 17 years, Sarah lived with emptiness. But in 2019, something happened that would change everything. Sarah turned on the television. She heard something that froze her blood. Hundreds of babies were stolen from American hospitals over several decades. Many are still alive. In that moment, Sarah remembered March 15th, 2002, the nurse who took her baby, the vague excuses, the body they never showed. What if her daughter hadn't died? What if for 17 years her baby had been alive? What if someone stole her? What Sarah discovered next would challenge everything she knew about that day. The truth was darker than she imagined, and her daughter was closer than she thought. Before we continue this disturbing story, if you value real cases like this, subscribe and turn on notifications. Tell us in the comments. Do you trust your country's healthcare system? Now let's discover what really happened to Sarah Bennett and her baby. Sarah had dreamed of this moment for 9 months. She lived in a working-class neighborhood in southeast Atlanta. Blue-collar families in modest homes, kids playing in streets, everyone knew everyone. Sarah was 25. Simple woman, long brown hair, hazel eyes, sweet smile. She worked as a cleaning lady downtown. Didn't earn much, but it was enough. She met her husband Michael at 19. Birthday party, mutual friend. Michael was an auto mechanic, worked near the strip mall, hard-working, honest, kind. They fell in love fast. Michael wrote her notes, bought flowers when he could, made her laugh with corny jokes. Sarah felt safe with him. They married 2 years later. Small courthouse wedding in downtown Atlanta. Sarah wore a simple white dress her mother helped buy. Michael wore his only suit. After the ceremony, celebration at Sarah's parents' house. Food, music, dancing, nothing fancy, full of love. Sarah and Michael rented a small apartment near the shop. 2 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom. Walls needed paint. Furniture was old. Hand-me-downs. But it was home. Sarah decorated with what little they had. Curtains she sewed. Plants in windows. Family photos on walls. First years of marriage, they worked hard. Michael spent long hours at the shop. Sometimes late nights for extra money. Sarah cleaned offices Monday through Friday. Saturdays at a private residence. Money was tight. Covered rent, food, basics, no luxuries. But they were happy. After 3 years, Sarah got pregnant. Test came back positive. Sarah cried with happiness. Michael cried too, held her tight. "We're going to be parents," he said over and over. That night, they called their families. Sarah's mother screamed with excitement. Michael's parents visited immediately. Pure joy. Sarah's pregnancy was normal. Morning sickness first few months, got tired easily, nothing serious. Doctor at the community clinic said everything was fine. Baby developing normally. Sarah and Michael had no money for private tests. Depended on public health care. Appointments at small clinic near their house. Basic facilities. Packed waiting rooms. Long waits. But doctors seemed competent. Sarah went to appointments religiously. Took care of herself. Ate well as budget allowed. took vitamins prescribed. Michael became overprotective. Wouldn't let Sarah carry heavy things. Insisted she rest after work. Made breakfast on weekends. "You have to take care of yourself," he'd say. "You and the baby are what matters most." 5th month, they found out. A girl. Ultrasound confirmed it. Sarah cried when the technician told her. That night, they sat in their small living room. Talked about names. "I like Emily," Sarah said. "Emily Bennett," Michael repeated. "Sounds good. Emily." That would be their daughter's name. Sarah prepared for baby's arrival with saved money. Bought basics. Second-hand crib from garage sale. Baby clothes Sarah's mother had saved. Diapers. Bottles. Michael painted the second bedroom pale yellow. Emily's room. Sarah put white curtains on window. Hung mobile over crib. Arranged clothes in old drawer Michael fixed. Everything ready. Last days of pregnancy were hard. Sarah was huge. Back hurt constantly. Couldn't sleep. Had to get up several times at night. But she was excited. Soon she'd have her baby. Early morning, March 15th, 2002. Sarah woke with sharp pain. 3 a.m., she woke Michael. "I think it's time." Michael got up immediately, dressed quickly, helped Sarah dress, grabbed the bag Sarah packed weeks ago. No car. They went outside for a cab. 3:30 a.m. Streets empty and dark. After 10 minutes, a cab passed. Michael flagged it. "My wife's in labor. We need Grady Memorial." Driver drove fast. Sarah breathed deeply. Controlled pain. Michael held her hand. "We're almost there," he said. "Everything's going to be okay." Arrived at Grady Memorial at 4 a.m. Large, old public hospital. Walls needed paint. Hallways dimly lit. Michael helped Sarah inside. Straight to emergency. A nurse received them. White uniform. Hair in bun. Around 40. Stern face. "How long have you been having contractions?" the nurse asked. "About an hour," Sarah answered between breaths. "Let's check you out." Nurse took Sarah to examination room. Michael stayed outside. After examining Sarah, nurse came out. "She's in active labor, taking her to labor room." Everything happened fast. Wheelchair to labor ward, large room, several beds separated by curtains, other women there too. Different stages of labor. Michael was allowed in, stayed next to Sarah, holding her hand. Hours passed. Sarah's pain increased. Contractions stronger, more frequent. Nurses came and went, checking periodically. 10 a.m. Doctor arrived. Man around 50, gray hair, white coat stained, looked tired. "Almost time," he told Sarah. "Soon you'll meet your baby." 11:30. Took Sarah to delivery room. Michael couldn't enter. Hospital rules. "Wait for me here," Sarah said. "I'll be back soon with our daughter." Michael kissed her. "I love you. You're strong. You're going to be fine." Sarah entered delivery room alone, accompanied by nurses. Cold room. Very bright. Smelled of disinfectant. Medical equipment everywhere. Put Sarah on delivery table. Told her to push when she felt urge. Pain unbearable. Sarah screamed, cried, pushed with all strength. Doctor guided her. "You're doing great. One more push. Come on." Then, after one last push, Sarah heard the most beautiful sound. Her baby's cry. 11:47 a.m. "It's a girl," doctor announced. "A healthy girl." Sarah cried with relief. Happiness. Nurse lifted baby so Sarah could see. Covered in blood and fluid. But to Sarah, perfect. Saw little face, closed eyes, open mouth crying, dark hair wet, little hands in tiny fists. "Emily," Sarah whispered. "My Emily." Nurse wrapped baby in blanket. "I'm going to clean her and weigh her," she said. "Just a moment." Nurse took baby to table across room. Sarah tried to see what they were doing. Exhausted. Doctor still working. Attending to what remained. Few minutes later, nurse came back. Your baby's perfect. 7 pounds, 1 ounce, everything's fine. Can I hold her? Sarah asked. In a moment. First, we need to finish cleaning you up. 10 minutes passed. Finally, another nurse came in. Different from first. Younger, carrying baby wrapped in pink blanket, approached Sarah. Here's your baby, she said with smile. Sarah extended arms. Nurse placed baby in Sarah's arms. First time. The moment Sarah waited 9 months for. Emily was asleep. Clean now. Sarah could see little face clearly. Round cheeks, long eyelashes, small, perfect lips. Sarah kissed her forehead. Hello, my love, she whispered. I'm your mama. I've waited so long for you. Held Emily for precious minutes, memorized every detail, soft skin, her smell, lightweight in her arms. Then first nurse returned, the one around 40, the stern one. I need to take the baby for routine tests, she said. Standard procedure. Sarah didn't want to let go, but new tests were important. How long will it take? She asked. Not long, an hour at most. Then we'll bring her right back. Sarah kissed Emily once more. See you soon, my love. Nurse took baby carefully, walked out. Sarah watched her leave. She didn't know that was the last time she'd see her daughter. Took Sarah back to recovery room, large room with several beds, other women who just gave birth, resting. Michael waiting at door, saw Sarah, ran to her. How are you? Where's the baby? I'm fine, Sarah said with tired smile. Emily is beautiful, Michael. She's perfect. Where is she? They took her for tests. She'll be back soon. Michael kissed Sarah. I'm so proud of you. Sarah rested, exhausted but happy. Michael sat next to bed, talked about Emily, how she looked, plans for her. I'm going to work harder, Michael said, to give her everything she needs. Half hour passed. Sarah got impatient. They should have brought Emily back by now, she told Michael. Maybe tests are taking longer than expected. Another half hour. Sarah worried. Asked passing nurse. Excuse me, do you know where my baby is? They took her over an hour ago. Let me check, nurse said. 15 minutes passed. Same nurse returned, looked uncomfortable. The doctor's going to come talk to you. Why? What's wrong? Where's my baby? The doctor will explain. Sarah felt something wrong. Very wrong. Michael looked worried. They waited. 5 minutes later, doctor who attended delivery entered. Gazed down. Wasn't making eye contact. Approached her bed. Sarah felt her heart stop. Mrs. Bennett, Mr. Bennett, doctor began. Voice soft, almost whisper. I'm sorry to give you this news. What news? Michael asked. What's happening? Doctor took deep breath. Your baby has passed away. Time stopped. Sarah didn't understand words, like doctor speaking another language. What? Was all she could say. Your baby passed away during routine tests. We did everything we could. We couldn't save her. I'm so sorry. Sarah felt world crumbling. No, she said. No, that can't be true. She was fine. I held her. She was perfect. Sometimes it happens, doctor said. Complications we can't foresee. No, Sarah screamed. I want to see my baby. Bring me my baby. Michael was in shock. Couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Mrs. Bennett, I understand you're in shock, doctor said. It's better if you don't see your baby right now. She's my daughter. I want to see her. Sarah tried to get up. Nurse ran to stop her. You need to rest, nurse said. You just gave birth. Let me see my daughter. Doctor pulled something from pocket. Syringe. I'm going to give you something to calm down. No, don't touch me. I want my baby. But nurses held her down. Doctor injected something in arm. Sarah kept screaming, kept fighting. Soon began feeling dizzy. Movements became slow. No, she mumbled. My baby, Emily. Everything went black. When Sarah woke, it was night. Alone in different room. Small, private room. Moment didn't remember where she was. Then it all came back. The delivery. Emily. The doctor. The impossible words. Your baby has passed away. Sarah began to cry. Cried like never before. Deep sobs from deepest part of being. Door opened. Michael came in, eyes red. He'd been crying too. Sat on bed next to Sarah, held her. Both cried together. No words, no comfort, just pain. I want to see her, Sarah said after a while. I need to see her, Michael. I already asked, Michael said, voice broken. They say it's better if you don't see her, that we should remember her as she was. I don't care. She's my daughter. I have right to see her. Michael nodded. I'll insist. He left room. Sarah alone again. Looked at her belly. Wasn't swollen anymore. Empty. Empty, like she felt inside. She'd been pregnant 9 months. Felt Emily move inside. Talked to her. Sang songs. Had plans. So many plans. Now all gone. Michael returned half-hour later. They won't let us see her, he said. They say they already prepared her for the funeral. What happened exactly? Sarah asked. How did she die? Doctor said sudden infant death. Sometimes happens. No explanation. Sarah shook head. Doesn't make sense. She was fine. I heard her cry. I held her. I know, Michael said. I know. Spent night at hospital. Neither slept. Next morning, families came. Sarah's mother entered crying, hugged daughter. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Michael's parents came too. Devastated. Everyone crying. Sarah in shock. Felt disconnected, like watching life from outside. Doctor came to talk about body. We need you to sign these papers, he said, for death certificate and to decide what you want to do with the baby. Sarah couldn't process. Michael signed papers, made decisions. Sarah couldn't. Hospital said they could leave that afternoon. You need to rest at home, they told Sarah. Home. How could she go home? Where they'd prepared everything for Emily. Yellow room. Crib. Baby clothes. How could she go back without baby? But no choice. That afternoon, Sarah and Michael left Grady Memorial. Sarah carried bag with her things. Paper certifying daughter's death. That was all. No baby in arms. Just piece of paper. Took cab back to apartment. Ride was silent. When arrived, Sarah's mother waiting. I made some food, she said. You need to eat something. But Sarah couldn't eat. Couldn't do anything. Entered apartment, saw yellow room, door open, went in. Everything as they'd left it. Crib, mobile, baby clothes folded in drawer, waiting for baby who'd never come. Sarah sat on floor and cried. Then, in middle of grief, something in her mind began to whisper. Something wasn't right. Nurse who took Emily. Vague excuses. Doctor who wouldn't let her see. Papers they rushed her to sign. Something didn't add up. But Sarah, too, devastated to think clearly. For now, could only cry. Wonder how she'd survive this. The first days after leaving the hospital were the darkest of Sarah's life. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't do anything except cry. She lay in bed staring at ceiling, wondering how she'd keep living. Michael wasn't okay either, but he had to be strong, had to work, had to pay bills, had to take care of Sarah. He went back to shop 3 days after losing Emily. His co-workers didn't know what to say. We're so sorry, they murmured, but no words could help. Michael worked like automaton, fixed engines, changed tires, but his mind was somewhere else. At home, Sarah didn't leave yellow room. She sat on floor next to empty crib, held baby clothes, pressed them against her face. Tried to imagine how Emily would have smelled. Her mother came every day. "You have to eat something, baby," she'd say. "Please." But Sarah wasn't hungry, had no desire for anything. 1 week after Emily's death, they had funeral, small ceremony at church in their neighborhood. Same church where Sarah and Michael had wedding reception. But this time no joy, only pain. Casket was white, tiny, closed. Sarah couldn't see her, never got to see baby one last time. That destroyed her, not being able to say goodbye. During service, Sarah didn't cry. She was in shock, disconnected from everything. Michael did cry, sobbed openly while pastor spoke. After funeral, they buried Emily in cemetery on outskirts of Atlanta. Small grave, simple headstone. Emily Bennett, March 15, 2002, an angel who visited us briefly. Sarah stayed by grave after everyone left. "I'm sorry," she whispered to Earth. "I'm so sorry, my love." Weeks passed. Sarah began to function again, but like ghost of herself. Went back to work month later, not because she wanted to, because they needed money. She cleaned offices mechanically. Body moved. But mind was somewhere else. Co-workers tried to be kind, but Sarah didn't want to talk to anyone. At home, Sarah and Michael barely spoke. Wasn't that they were angry at each other. Pain was so great there were no words. They sat in living room in silence. Ate in silence. Slept on opposite sides of bed. Yellow room stayed closed. But 2 months after Emily's death, something changed. Sarah was home on Saturday morning. Michael had gone to work. She was sitting in living room, looking out window, seeing nothing in particular. Then a thought hit her. Doctor's words. "It's better if you don't see her like this." Why? Why wouldn't they let her see her baby? Other mothers who lost babies got to see them, got to hold them, got to say goodbye. Why not her? And the nurse, the one who took Emily for tests. Why did it take so long? And how exactly does healthy baby die during routine tests? Sarah got up from couch. For first time in 2 months, she felt something besides pain. She felt anger. And she needed answers. That same day, Sarah went to Grady Memorial. Asked to speak with someone from administration. Wanted to see daughter's file. Wanted to know exactly what happened. Secretary attended to her. "I need a copy of my baby's medical records," Sarah said. "Do you have any documentation?" Sarah pulled out death certificate. Secretary looked at it. "I'll see what I can do, but it'll take a few days." "Why?" "It's the process. We need authorization." Sarah didn't understand why so complicated. It was her daughter. She had right to know. "How many days?" "Maybe a week." Sarah waited a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. Every time she called, they gave different excuses. "The file is in archives." "The responsible doctor isn't available." "We need more documentation." Sarah began to suspect something wasn't right. Why was it so difficult to get information about her own daughter? She decided to go to police. Went to local police station. Explained situation to officer. "My baby died at Grady Memorial. They wouldn't let me see her. They won't give me her medical records. Something's not right." Officer listened. Took notes. "Do you have any evidence that something irregular occurred?" "They wouldn't let me see my baby. Isn't that irregular?" Officer sighed. "Look, ma'am, I understand you're going through difficult time, but sometimes hospitals have their protocols. But if you get medical records and there's something suspicious, come back. Then we can investigate." Sarah left station frustrated. Nobody was taking her seriously. More months passed. Sarah didn't stop insisting at hospital, called every week, went in person when she could. Finally, 6 months after Emily's death, they gave her copy of file. It was thin, barely a few pages. Sarah read it with Michael that night. Very little information. Record of birth, baby's weight and measurements. And brief note, sudden death, cardiorespiratory arrest. That was it. No details. No explanation of what caused arrest. No record of what tests they were doing. This isn't enough, Sarah said. Michael agreed, but didn't know what else they could do. Sarah went back to police with file. Same officer attended to her. Do you see anything irregular here? Sarah asked, showing him file. Officer reviewed it briefly. Looks like case of sudden infant death. It's tragic, but it happens. But there are no details. Doesn't explain what happened exactly. Medical records are sometimes like that. Sarah realized she wasn't going to get anywhere. Officer wasn't going to help. Hospital wasn't going to give more information. She felt powerless, but she couldn't stop thinking about it. Something wasn't right. She knew it in her heart. First year after Emily's death was hardest. Sarah and Michael tried to move on with lives, but everything reminded them of loss. Every time they saw family with baby, pain came back. Every March 15th, anniversary of Emily's death, was unbearable. Sarah visited grave, brought flowers, sat there for hours. Their marriage suffered. Wasn't that Sarah and Michael didn't love each other, but grief had changed them. Barely talked, barely touched, lived like two strangers in same house. Second year was little, easier, but only a little. Sarah learned to live with pain. It didn't go away, never went away, but she learned to function despite it. She kept working, kept cleaning offices. Money helped distract. Michael also buried himself in work, worked longer hours, took any extra jobs he could. At home, yellow room stayed closed. Neither Sarah nor Michael could go in there. Years passed. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Sarah aged rapidly. At 35, she looked 45. Constant pain marked her face. She stopped smiling, stopped laughing. She lived, but not really. Michael changed too, became quieter, more distant. Their marriage survived, but barely. They were companions in grief, no longer partners. Sarah never stopped thinking about Emily. Visited grave on 15th of every month. Talked to her, told her things. Today would have been your first day of kindergarten, she'd say when Emily would have been 5. Today you would have turned 10, she'd say decade later. Sarah imagined what Emily would have been like, what she would have liked, what her personality would have been. It was all she had left. Imagination. By 2019, 17 years after Emily's death, Sarah was 42. Still lived in same apartment, still worked same job. Nothing had changed in 17 years, except that she and Michael had finally learned to talk again. Not much, but something. How was your day? They'd ask. Fine. Yours? Simple conversations. But they were something. One afternoon in June 2019, Sarah was home after work. Michael hadn't arrived yet. Sarah turned on television while she prepared dinner. It was tuned to News Channel. Sarah wasn't paying much attention, was chopping vegetables in kitchen while TV talked in background. Then she heard something that made her stop. Baby theft scandal rocks the nation. Hundreds of cases documented over past 3 decades. Sarah put down knife. Walked closer to television. Reporter was speaking. Human rights organizations have documented cases where newborn babies were stolen from hospitals and sold to couples who wanted to adopt. The biological mothers were told their babies had died. Sarah's heart started beating faster. Reporter continued. Corrupt nurses and doctors were involved. They falsified death certificates, gave babies to intermediaries who sold them. Sarah sat on couch. She couldn't breathe. The cases occurred primarily between 1980s and 2010s. It's estimated that hundreds of babies were stolen this way. Screen showed testimonies from mothers. They told me my baby had died, said one woman crying, but 18 years later I discovered she was alive. They wouldn't let me see the body, said another. Now I know why. Sarah felt worlds spinning around her. March 15th, 2002. Nurse who took Emily. Just a few minutes. Doctor who wouldn't let her see. It's better if you don't see her like this. Death certificate they gave her so quickly. Empty medical file. Everything started making sense in horrible way. What if Emily hadn't died? What if they'd stolen her baby? Sarah started hyperventilating. Couldn't be true. Couldn't be. But everything fit. Everything. When Michael came home half-hour later, he found Sarah sitting on couch, shaking. What happened? He asked, alarmed. Sarah pointed at television. They'd already moved on to another story, but she'd recorded report in her mind. Michael, she said, voice trembling. I think Emily didn't die. Michael looked at her confused. Sarah explained everything. Report. Stolen babies. How everything that happened to them matched. At first, Michael didn't want to believe it. Sarah, we can't do this to ourselves. We can't have hope just to have it destroyed again. But everything fits, Michael, don't you see? Michael sat down. Put face in hands. It was too much. Too much after 17 years. What do you want to do? He finally asked. We need to investigate. We need to know the truth. Next few days, Sarah researched obsessively, found organizations helping families affected by baby theft, found phone numbers, email addresses. Week after report, Sarah called one of organizations. It was called Mothers Seeking Justice. Woman answered. This is Sarah Bennett, she began. I think my baby was stolen in 2002. Woman listened patiently while Sarah told her story. When Sarah finished, Woman said, Your case sounds very similar to others we've documented. There's a DNA testing program. If your daughter is alive and registered in system, we might be able to find her. Sarah felt a mix of hope and fear. How does it work? You donate a DNA sample. We put it in database. If there's match with someone else who's also searching, we'll contact you. And if she's not in system? Then we won't know. But it's worth trying. Sarah didn't think twice. What do I need to do? 2 weeks later, Sarah went to lab in Atlanta. Michael went with her. Technician explained process. It was simple. They just needed cheek swab. How long does it take? Sarah asked. Depends. If there's immediate match, we could know in weeks. If not, it could take months or years, and there's chance we'll never find match. Sarah understood, but she needed to try, needed to know. She gave DNA sample. Michael gave his too. We'll contact you if there are any results, technician said. Sarah left lab with mixed emotions, hope, fear, anxiety. What if Emily was alive? What if they found her? What if they didn't? Days turned into weeks. Sarah checked phone constantly, waiting for call, message, anything. Michael tried to keep her grounded. Sarah, we may never know. You have to prepare yourself for that. I know, Sarah would say. But in her heart, she felt something. She felt that Emily was out there. Month passed. 2 months. 3 months. Sarah started losing hope. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe Emily really had died. Maybe it had been cruel coincidence that her case sounded similar to reported ones. But in September 2019, 6 months after giving DNA sample, something changed. It was Tuesday afternoon. Sarah was at work, cleaning office. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Sarah almost didn't answer. Thought it was telemarketer, but something told her to answer. Hello? Mrs. Sarah Bennett? Yes, this is she. This is the DNA lab calling. We need you to come in as soon as possible. Sarah's heart stopped. Why? What happened? There was pause. We have results. We need to speak with you in person. Sarah dropped mop she was holding. What kind of results? Please, come to lab. We can explain everything here. Call ended. Sarah stood in middle of office, trembling. Results! They had results. With shaking hands, she called Michael. "Michael," she said when he answered. "The lab called. They have results." Michael left shop immediately. Sarah left work. She didn't care. Nothing mattered except this. They met at lab hour later. They were both nervous, scared, hopeful. Woman received them. Same technician who had taken their samples months ago. "Thank you for coming so quickly," she said. "Please follow me." She took them to small office. There was another person there, man around 50 with glasses. He introduced himself as lab director. "Mrs. Bennett, Mr. Bennett," he began. "We need to talk to you about your DNA test results." Sarah couldn't breathe. "What did you find?" Director looked at his papers. "We found a match, a 99.9% match." World stopped. Sarah felt like she was going to faint. Michael held her. "What does that mean?" Michael asked, voice shaking. "It means we found someone whose DNA matches yours. With 99.9% certainty, that person is your biological daughter." Sarah started crying. They weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of shock, of relief, of impossible joy. "Where is she?" she asked. "Where's my daughter?" "She's also registered in system. She's looking for her biological parents." "She knows? She knows she was—" "Yes, she suspected she was illegally adopted. That's why she registered in system." Michael had tears running down his face. "What's her name? Where does she live?" "Her name is Jessica. She's 17 years old. She lives here in Atlanta." Sarah couldn't process this. 17 years. Emily was 17 years old, and she was alive, and she was in Atlanta, all this time. "Can we see her?" Sarah asked. "Can we meet her?" "Yes, but there's a process. We have to contact her first. She has to agree, and there are legal considerations." "I don't care about the process," Sarah said. "I need to see my daughter." Director nodded. "I understand. We're going to contact her today. We'll give you her contact information if she agrees." Next few days were longest of Sarah's life. They waited and waited. Finally, 3 days later, lab called again. "Jessica wants to meet you. She gave permission to share her phone number." Sarah took number with trembling hands. When call ended, she stared at paper. Her daughter's phone number. After 17 years. "Are you going to call her?" Michael asked. Sarah nodded, but she was scared. What was she going to say? How do you start conversation with daughter who was stolen from you 17 years ago? She waited until evening, wanted to be calm, wanted to think through words. At 8 p.m. she dialed number. Phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Sarah thought she wasn't going to answer. Then she heard voice. Young voice. Voice that made her cry immediately. "Hello?" Sarah couldn't speak. Words got stuck in throat. "Hello?" Voice repeated. "Jessica," Sarah finally managed to say. There was pause. Are you Sarah?" Yes, it's me. I'm your mom." They both started crying. Didn't say anything for full minute. Just cried, listening to each other through phone. Finally, Jessica spoke. "I can't believe this is real." "Me neither," Sarah said. "I've waited 17 years to hear your voice." They talked for 2 hours that night. Jessica told her story. She'd grown up with couple in suburb of Atlanta. They told her they'd adopted her legally when she was baby. But there were always things that didn't add up. They didn't have proper adoption documents, stories they told her about how they got her changed. And physically, she didn't look anything like them. When Jessica turned 15, she confronted her adoptive parents. They finally admitted truth. They'd bought her through intermediary. They were told it was private adoption. But they never had legal papers. Jessica felt betrayed, angry, confused. She spent 2 years investigating, searching for information, trying to understand who she really was. Finally, she learned about DNA program. She registered, hoping to find answers, and she found them. "I always knew something wasn't right," Jessica told Sarah, "but I never imagined this. Never imagined my biological parents were looking for me." "I never stopped looking for you," Sarah said. "Not a single day in 17 years." They agreed to meet in person 3 days later, in Park in downtown Atlanta. Sarah barely slept those 3 nights. She was nervous, excited, terrified. What was she going to say to Jessica? How do you make up for 17 lost years? She went through her old things, found the hospital bracelet she'd worn that day, the one that said, "Baby Girl Bennett." She'd kept it all these years. She wanted to show it to Jessica. She also found the tiny outfit she'd bought for Emily. Pink onesie with white stars. Still had tags on it. Never been worn. Sarah held it against her chest. Cried. Michael found her like that, sitting on floor of yellow room, surrounded by baby things. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm scared," Sarah admitted. "What if she doesn't like me? What if I say the wrong thing? What if—" "Sarah," Michael interrupted. "She called you Mom, on the phone. She called you Mom." Sarah nodded. He was right. Jessica had already chosen to love her. Day arrived. It was Saturday afternoon. Park was full of families, kids playing, couples walking. Sarah and Michael arrived early. They sat on bench near entrance. Sarah checked phone every 30 seconds. "She's going to come," Michael kept saying. "Relax." At 3 p.m., Sarah saw a young woman approaching. Long brown hair, hazel eyes, slender build. She looked like Sarah when she was young. Sarah stood up. Legs were shaking. Young woman approached timidly. "Sarah?" she asked. Sarah nodded. Couldn't speak. They stared at each other for a moment. 17 years of pain, 17 years of searching, 17 years of waiting, everything led to this moment. Then Sarah opened her arms, and Jessica ran to her. They hugged, cried, held each other like they were never going to let go. "My baby," Sarah sobbed. "My Emily. My girl." "Mom?" Jessica cried. It was first time she'd called her that, and it sounded perfect. Michael hugged them both too. The 3 of them cried together. People in Park stopped and stared. Some smiled, some cried too. They didn't know the story, but they could feel the emotion. They spent hours in that park, talked, got to know each other, shared stories. Sarah showed her photos from when she was pregnant, photos of yellow room they'd prepared, photos of empty grave they visited every month. "You visited a grave?" Jessica asked, tears in her eyes. "For 17 years?" "Every month," Sarah said. "On the 15th. I brought flowers, I talked to you. I told you about my day, about how much I missed you." Jessica started crying harder. "I'm so sorry you went through that." "It's not your fault," Sarah said quickly. "None of this is your fault." Jessica showed her photos of herself growing up, her first day of school, kindergarten photo, gap-toothed smile, backpack too big for her small body. "You were so beautiful," Sarah whispered. Birthday photos, Jessica blowing out candles, age 7, age 10, age 13. Sarah had missed all of them. Middle school graduation, Jessica in cap and gown, looking proud. "I wish I could have been there," Sarah said. "You're here now," Jessica replied. "That's what matters." "We named you Emily," Sarah told her. "That was your name." "Emily," Jessica repeated. "I like it." "But Jessica is beautiful too," Sarah quickly added. "It's who you are now." Jessica smiled. "Maybe I can be both. Emily Jessica." As they talked, Sarah asked about Jessica's adoptive parents. "Where are they now?" Jessica looked down. I still live with them. It's complicated. They raised me. I love them. But they also lied to me for years. What are they like? Sarah asked carefully. Linda and Robert, Jessica said. They're good people. I mean, they did a terrible thing, but they've been good parents to me. Linda taught me to cook. Robert taught me to ride bike. They came to all my school events. Sarah felt strange mix of emotions. Gratitude that Jessica had been loved. Jealousy that someone else got to raise her. Anger at the situation. Do they know you're here? Sarah asked. Yes, Jessica said. Linda cried when I told her. She said she always knew this day might come. She said she doesn't want to lose me. I'm not here to take you away from them, Sarah said. I just want to know you, want to be part of your life, if you want. I do want that, Jessica said. I always wondered about you, about my biological family. Now I know you were looking for me, that you wanted me. We've always wanted you, Michael said, from the moment you were born. They talked about everything. Jessica's favorite subject in school, math. She was good with numbers, her hobbies. She liked drawing, reading, long walks. I like fixing things too, Jessica said. Electronics, small engines, stuff like that. Michael's face lit up. Really? I'm a mechanic. That might be in your blood. Jessica smiled. Maybe it is. As afternoon turned to evening, they realized they'd been talking for 5 hours. Park was emptying. Sun was setting. I should probably go, Jessica said reluctantly. Can we see you again? Sarah asked. Soon? Yes, Jessica said. Definitely yes. They exchanged numbers, made plans to meet again in few days. As Jessica was leaving, Sarah called out, Jessica? Jessica turned. Thank you, Sarah said. Thank you for being brave enough to search. Thank you for wanting to meet us. Thank you for existing. Jessica ran back, hugged Sarah one more time. Thank you for never giving up, she whispered. Meeting in Park was beginning. In following weeks, Sarah and Jessica saw each other several times. Coffee shops, restaurants, long walks. Little by little, they built relationship. It wasn't easy. There was a lot to process, lot of pain, lot of confusion. But there was also love. And that love was enough to start. Sarah learned more about Jessica with each meeting. Jessica was studying to be teacher. She loved kids, wanted to work in elementary school. I think it's because I always felt like something was missing, Jessica explained. I want to help kids feel safe, feel loved. Sarah's heart broke and swelled at the same time. Jessica learned about Sarah, too, about the years of grief, the depression, the strain on marriage, the monthly visits to grave. I'm sorry you suffered so much, Jessica said one day. Don't be sorry, Sarah replied. It brought me to you, and that makes it all worth it. Sarah also wanted justice. She wanted to know who had stolen her baby, and she wanted them to pay. With help of mothers seeking justice, Sarah filed formal complaint. Police finally took her case seriously. They had evidence now. DNA proof, testimonies. Investigation led to nurse. Her name was Margaret Wilson. She was 57 years old now. Retired. Living quietly in a suburb outside Atlanta. When police interrogated her, at first she denied everything. But there was evidence. Hospital records. Testimonies from other families. Proof of money transfers. Finally, Margaret confessed. She'd been part of baby trafficking ring that operated in several Atlanta hospitals for years. Doctors, nurses, administrators, all involved. They told poor mothers their babies had died, falsified death certificates, then sold babies to couples who couldn't adopt legally. Buyers paid between $50,000 and $100,000 per baby. Everyone made money, except mothers who lost their children. The trial came months later. Sarah attended every day. sat in courtroom, stared at Margaret Wilson. Margaret looked old, tired, small, nothing like the powerful figure from Sarah's nightmares. When it was Sarah's turn to speak, she stood up, walked to front of courtroom. "Why?" she asked Margaret directly. "Why did you do this to us?" Margaret didn't look her in eyes. "I needed the money." "Money?" Sarah's voice rose. "You destroyed my life for money. You made me bury an empty casket. You made me grieve for 17 years for a child who was alive." Judge had to calm Sarah down. "You stole my daughter's first steps, her first words, her first day of school. You stole birthdays, Christmases, bedtime stories. You stole 17 years of her life and mine. And for what? Money?" Margaret was crying now, but Sarah felt no sympathy. "I hope you think about what you did every single day," Sarah said. "I hope it haunts you, because it will haunt me forever." Margaret was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Others involved were also arrested. Doctor who signed death certificate, administrators who helped hide records. But for Sarah, no sentence would be enough. They'd stolen 17 years with her daughter. That could never be recovered. After trial, Sarah and Jessica grew even closer. Jessica started calling Sarah Mom Sarah to distinguish her from her adoptive mother. Sarah was okay with that. She didn't want to replace anyone, just wanted to be part of Jessica's life. One day, Jessica brought Linda to meet Sarah. It was awkward at first. Two mothers of same child, sitting across from each other in coffee shop. "I'm sorry," Linda said finally. "We didn't know. They told us it was legal adoption, private. We never imagined." "You raised her," Sarah said. "You loved her. I can see that, and I'm grateful for that." Linda started crying. "I was so scared you'd hate me, that you'd try to take her away." "I could never hate you," Sarah said. "You gave her a good life. You were there when I couldn't be, not by choice. But still." The two women talked for hours, found common ground in their love for Jessica. Michael and Jessica also developed relationship. Michael taught her things about mechanics. Jessica listened, fascinated. "I think I inherited your hands," she told him once. "I like fixing things." Michael cried when he heard that. They started working on old car together, in Michael's shop, on weekends. Jessica would come over. They'd spend hours working side by side, not talking much, just being together. Year after their reunion, Jessica decided to move in with Sarah and Michael. It wasn't an easy decision. She still loved Linda and Robert, but she needed time with her biological family too. Sarah transformed Yellow Room. After 17 years of being closed, it finally had purpose. They painted it again. Jessica chose light blue, put in new furniture, decorations Jessica liked. It was Emily's room, as it always should have been. First night Jessica slept in that room, Sarah sat next to her bed, like she would have done 17 years ago. "Good night, my love," she said. "Good night, Mom," Jessica responded. Sarah cried. But they were tears of happiness. Her baby was home. Finally. Sarah and Jessica's case made national news. Media covered story, news shows, newspapers, online articles. Mother reunited with stolen daughter after 17 years. Sarah gave interviews, not for fame, but because she wanted other families to know there was hope. "If you suspect your baby was stolen, don't give up," she'd say. "Register in DNA system. Seek help. Truth might be closer than you think." Thanks to her story, dozens of other families were encouraged to get DNA tests, and some found their children too. Sarah received letters, emails, messages from mothers all over country. "Thank you for sharing your story. You gave me hope. Because of you, I found my son." In 2021, 2 years after reuniting with Jessica, Sarah left her cleaning job. She started working full-time with Mothers Seeking Justice. She helped other mothers, gave them hope, showed them that recovery was possible. "We lost 17 years," she'd tell other mothers, "but I'm not going to lose another day." Michael was happier too. He had his daughter back. His marriage with Sarah improved. They became partners again. Not just companions in grief. They started going on dates again. Movies, dinners, long walks, rediscovered each other. "I forgot how much I loved you," Michael said one night. "I never forgot," Sarah replied. "I just forgot how to show it." Jessica finished high school with honors, applied to colleges, got accepted to University of Georgia, decided to study social work. "I want to help families like ours," she said. Sarah couldn't have been prouder. In March 2022, 20 years after Emily's birth, family had celebration. It wasn't sad birthday at empty grave. It was party. At their home. With family and friends. Linda and Robert came, Sarah's mother, Michael's parents, cousins, friends, everyone who'd been part of Journey. Jessica blew out candles on cake that said, "Emily Jessica, 20 years. "Make a wish," Sarah told her. Jessica closed her eyes, blew out candles. When she opened eyes, she said, "I don't need to make wishes anymore. Everything I wanted is right here." That night, when everyone left, Sarah sat in living room with Michael and Jessica. She looked at her daughter. She wasn't baby anymore. She was young woman, intelligent, strong, beautiful. They'd lost so many years. First steps, first words, first days of school. All of that was gone. But they had future, and that was enough. "I love you, Emily," Sarah said. "I love you, Mom," Jessica responded. And in that moment, Sarah knew that everything they'd been through had been worth it. The pain, the search, the years of tears, everything had led to this moment. Their family was finally complete. This story shows us that mother's love never dies, that hope can survive even in deepest darkness, and that sometimes truth is closer than we imagine. Sarah Bennett lost 17 years with her daughter, but she never lost faith. And in end, that faith was rewarded. If this story moved you, think about all families still searching, all mothers wondering if their babies really died, all children wondering who their real parents are. Truth exists, and it deserves to be discovered. If this true story of perseverance and hope touched your heart, subscribe to channel and turn on notifications for more cases that prove miracles are possible. Leave a like if Sarah and Jessica's story moved you, and share this video with someone who needs to remember that it's never too late to find truth. Tell us in comments, have you heard of similar cases? What would you do in Sarah's situation? Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of loss, search, and reunion. Remember, truth is out there, and it's worth fighting for.